This podcast is brought to you by 2 More Reps Coffee Beans. Get your 2 more reps with this natural pre-workout. Buy your bag at 2morereps.com.au.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Paul's Body Engineering Podcast. Today I've got a very special guest. Kerry Ashcroft has been on my podcast a couple of times before, and we thought we'd get together today and just have a general discussion, chit-chat really, informally, about her current prep. She's halfway through her current prep, but also just general bodybuilding discussion, contest prep, coaching, lifestyle. We kind of cover a few things, and it's a really good insight and great content and value for anyone that sort of wants to get a bit more insight into just a diet, food, nutrition, training, all those sorts of things. So this is a great chat and a really informal one, so I hope everyone enjoys it. But without further ado, let's get on with it. All right, well, we're going to run another podcast, and this one is completely unscripted. No notes, no questions, no interviews, and I am joined by the one and only Kerry Ashcroft today. How you going, Kerry?
I'm very well, thank you. Well, thank you for the invite. Or maybe I should say...
I was about to say, I think you invited yourself, didn't you?
Let's do a podcast, Paul.
Yeah, let's do a podcast. Oh, okay, all right, we can do that. But you made perfect sense. Like, it's probably a good idea to catch up and have a chat. A lot's happened since, like, you've been on twice before now, hey?
Yes, I have, yes.
Yeah, so a lot's happened since the last time for starters, but second to that, you've decided to come out of retirement.
I have.
Yeah, and prep, and you're partway through that prep. You want to give us a little bit of a rundown on that first and foremost, because you're doing a completely different division, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, so that must be a little bit scary.
It is very scary, yeah. But that's probably the reason why I'm doing it.
Sure.
Because, so last time I did compete would have been the NBA national show in 2019.
So going to be that was,
yes.
Wasn't it?
So we're talking almost 4 years by the time I get back on stage again.
Wow, that's a big gap. Okay.
Yeah. So after I last competed, we had COVID.
Oh yeah.
And then at that point, I was like, nah, I don't think I will ever get back on stage again. I was happy where I'd left off and all things like that. And I just thought I probably got to where I wanted to get to.
Yep.
And also, I didn't think I could potentially ever diet to that extent again.
Yeah.
I didn't think would ever go, I can go again.
Sure.
Yeah, so it would have been last year when my client Simone was competing in Townsville. And we was just off stage. She was practicing her posing. And there was this girl who walked on stage in the fitness division. So if anyone knows, I've competed before, it was in figure.
Yes.
And her name is actually Caitlin Sellers. I've never met Caitlin before, but she walked on stage with the most amazing physique. And I was like, oh my God, who is that? I want to look like her.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was it. There was just
Really?
something which clicked in me, and I went,
wow,
that was an amazing physique. And to be honest, her physique was potentially like what figure was when I was last on stage.
Oh, okay.
Because even now, I think the figure girls are getting bigger,
absolutely,
more muscular,
yeah,
and I would say that probably a lot of the fitness girls now are what figure was like 4 years ago.
The fitness girls could almost step up to figure,
yes,
some
definitely,
of them. Yeah, some
amazing,
of them could.
Amazing. But even like stage presence, everything is a whole new level.
It is.
And that's what I'm finding now, like with the posing, it's completely different.
Yes.
But it's also now I'm excited because it's almost like I'm a beginner.
Yeah.
And that's what I've got to do again. Just actually go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Learn new posing.
Yeah, posing's completely
pretty
different.
exciting.
Yeah, well that's it. That's cool. That's exciting. And I suppose that gives you a new challenge too, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, I suppose you can, to a degree, get a little bit bored of doing the same thing over and over again, particularly when you've ticked most of the boxes that you probably want to achieve in a career as a figure athlete. Yeah. Yeah,
and that's what it is. I think because I also teach figure posing as well.
Sure.
Like there's no element of learning a new skill. So obviously you can refine what you already do and like come back with better physique in terms of training and possibly leaner in terms of nutrition.
Yes.
But yeah, for the actual prep side of it itself, I need something a little bit more to keep me kind of excited the whole way through.
Absolutely. And you probably don't have to go to that extreme lean level either, do you?
I'm not sure yet. So, yeah.
We will see.
I just love it. I still love it. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. We'll see where the body wants to go.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. Yeah. So, you're what are we now? 12 weeks out? Is that right?
It will be 11 on Saturday.
11,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, 11 weeks out till Townsville being your first show of a couple, I'm assuming. So how have you found it this time around compared to previous ones? Do you find it easier in terms of the knowledge you've got and the experience you've got, or is it still, it still has its challenges?
To be honest, up to now, I'm finding it easy.
Okay.
And I don't know if it might sound is she not pushing hard enough, but I think, I don't know if it's more knowledge. My body's actually in a better place.
Sure.
So even in my off season, seeing my doctor regularly, got all my hormones checked.
Yep.
Everything seems like it's in a good place. Even my sleep. I was living off 4 hours sleep previously. But I've been doing that for years, so I just thought it was normal.
Sure.
And until now, I'm getting 6.5 to 7 hours sleep. Honestly, it's insane how much better I feel. So my body is just responding so much better this time. So in terms of health, management, sleep management, I feel great, to be honest.
Excellent. Yeah. That's fantastic. And look, at the 11-week mark, there's still obviously a long way to go.
Yeah.
So I'm sure.
I'm ready to push harder. I'm hungry. Don't get me wrong, I'm hungry.
Sure.
But it's just manageable. That's what it is. I'm hungry. But you just go through the motions, to be honest.
Of course you do, yeah, and I guess that part of it becomes repetitive to a degree, doesn't it? It becomes easy because you know what's required, and you do go through the motions, and it's cut and paste. Oh, change of food, okay, cut and paste, and are you eating the same stuff nearly every day? Are you
every single day?
Same
and
thing?
I have been since I started.
Yeah.
And obviously, if I have a bit of a macro drop, macro change, I just change what I'm eating. Yeah. Less of it.
It's easy to do.
I enjoy what I have, to be honest. So I look forward to every single meal.
Of course we do. Yes, you count down the clock. Oh, is it time to eat yet?
So in terms of that, it's simple.
Yeah.
And you get into a good routine,
absolutely.
Going to the grocery store, all these little things, it's just same thing, same prep, and it just becomes easy.
Yeah, absolutely. So back when, was it purely when you decided that you weren't going to go again after your last season?
Yes.
Was that, do you feel that that decision was made rather impromptu because you were still feeling the effects of the prep? Do you think?
Potentially was, yes, because after prep, it would have been March, wasn't it, when the gyms closed? When the COVID was
everything got shut down, yeah.
So it was after that. So it was a lot of things. There was that. There was COVID, and then we all gyms closed.
Yep.
I was working from my. We ended up converting my garage into a gym then, so that kind of thing. And I think just after that, I just didn't ever think mentally, because I wasn't in a great place, and that I would ever be strong enough, to be honest, to go into prep again.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, I got into, I started doing CrossFit.
Oh, yeah.
I've always done bodybuilding in between this, but got into CrossFit and then ultra running as well.
That's right, I remember that. You're doing crazy long runs. Yes, I remember.
So it's funny now because people say, oh, is prep hard? I'm like, well, I don't know what is hard anymore, to be honest.
Yeah,
in comparison to, no, it's not a 100k ultra marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a 10-minute CrossFit workout where you're going balls to the floor, where it's just so hard that, do you know what I mean? I don't know what the comparison of hard is anymore, because they're hard. This is hard.
Well, that's it. I suppose it's the individual's perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess from an outsider looking in, prep can be hard, of course. And you'd be naive to think that it isn't coming in, and if you've done your research or spoken to the right people, then it shouldn't be that, you shouldn't have that sort of way of thinking, but yeah, you're right. Everyone's definition of hard is completely different, isn't it? And as we've said, with the experience you've gained over several seasons now, that goalpost has shifted, hasn't it? So what was hard in season 1 is now probably quite easy now, compared to what will be hard maybe in 6 weeks' time or something, when you get to the very tail end of it, and you're grinding out those last couple of kilos or whatever. So it's individual perspective, but it's good to, I guess, see that you're coming back for another tilt. It's got to be exciting.
It's really exciting.
Yeah.
It's funny though, when I was running the ultra marathons, I used to go, oh, this is easy. at least it's not a bodybuilding prep. I used to tell myself. At least
Is that right?
Yeah, at least it's not a 30-week bodybuilding prep. I can pull like a trail belt in my pocket and just eat that. Like there was food, like unlimited food, so it wasn't that aspect of it. Like you can always eat.
Yeah, you
Same
can
with
always
CrossFit,
eat.
so I was eating for performance. Like I ate a lot of food over this time.
Of course.
And like gained so much knowledge as well. Even like hunger cues and sometimes like eating too much as well, like you keep constantly keep eating.
Yeah.
You actually get fed up with food. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a complete opposite of what prep is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think going into this, I have like a better relationship with food as well.
And that's such a good place to be.
Yeah.
You know, the stronger the relationship with food in terms of just, you know, the emotional disconnect that you have to have, the better off, particularly the reverse.
Yeah.
You know, when you get out the other side or the shackles are off and you're obviously entitled to eat whatever you want, you know, you don't want to just completely lose control. We've all been there, but it can go pear-shaped very, very quickly at the same time. So setting yourself up before a prep with, you know, the mental and physical aspects and then just leading into it puts you in such a strong position, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even like it's just like learning and like understanding your own body as well.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
even for me, like knowing what is true hunger, I've got all like those kind of signals now. What is real hunger? Am I tired?
Yes.
Because even knowing like doing the ultramarathons when you're out for like 24 hours, food does not fix that.
Yeah.
You're tired, you're fatigued. Food does not fix that.
No, it doesn't.
So
No, that's right.
So you kind of like switch completely from just going, I'm just going to keep eating. It's going to make me feel better. No, it's not. So you kind of know, it's not that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it gives you a better perspective and also, knowing, to understand your body.
Yeah, and that's true. Like, to have success in this particular sport, you know, and look, there's exceptions to the rule. You know, some people may come in after having trained for 10 years and go, you know what, I'm going to do a bodybuilding prep, and they have great success because they've been training for such a long period of time. But I guess the majority of first timers don't generally see a huge amount of success because they don't have that experience behind them. But then if they get a taste for it, they come back, they draw from that, and after one or two more seasons, they might, you know, jag a win or beyond that, who knows. But yeah, the experience plays such a role, particularly from a mental standpoint. I think that's probably the most telling factor, isn't it? Just, and so, have you had any? Speaking of the mental factor, have you had any? You know how self-doubt can creep in.
Yes.
Would that be primarily around the fact that you're changing divisions, or is it just purely I'm too old for this, or I'm not going to be ready in time, or that girl looks amazing, you know, or is it all of the above?
Oh, none of that really. Like obviously, 4 years older, wrinkles are a bit deeper, seems a bit saggier.
Sorry, I choked on my coffee then.
But yeah, those little things that all females go through.
Yeah.
But obviously, physique-wise, no. And I'm pretty surprised, to be honest, like how much muscle I've retained over what I've been doing.
Sure.
But just understanding that I was still bodybuilding training, even though I was running, even though I was doing CrossFit.
Yep.
Like something's ingrained in a bodybuilder.
It is. It is.
Okay, I've not hit my shoulders this week. I've done so many sets per week on my shoulders or
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it is. Like
yeah.
so, I was always going back and making sure I was just hitting certain workouts per week, no matter what I was doing.
Yep.
What was the question? Oh yeah. What was the question again? I've lost it. Wow.
It's the self-doubt stuff.
Oh my God, yeah. But in terms of anything else now,
No.
it's funny because the more working backstage doing trophies and things, like I do NBA trophies twice a year, and the perspective of seeing amazing physiques on stage, and it doesn't matter where you place, to be honest, you can see a different side of it.
Yeah.
People get on stage, they don't place, but yet they look amazing, they've done a prep, and seeing that side of it, that you realise it doesn't matter. It does not matter if you get a first place, you just get a medal for participating.
Yeah.
And it's just that understanding of like, okay, you've done so good. And I think having that perspective now and going back on stage, and then even if I'm not right for categories, even if I don't place, does it matter?
No, it doesn't. That's a really good point. And I do actually drill that into I talk a lot about that with my athletes as they get closer to the show, and that the fact is, if they make it to stage, that's the win. Yeah. You know, that's the win, because you've done all the hard work, you look amazing, and then it's completely out of your hands in terms of the result, isn't it? You know, it's such a subjective sport. It's up to the judges to interpret the criteria and then basically assess you from what they see. And everyone's going to have their own opinions on that as well. So, you know, the win is getting to stage. Anything beyond that's a bonus. So as much as we all want to win, and it's a competition at the end of the day.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like everyone likes to win. I like to win.
Of course.
I've loved winning in the past, and but it really does not matter in terms of would you enjoy it or not?
No, exactly. And if you get beaten by someone who's better than you, well, that's great. There's nothing you can do about that. You know, if they're better, if they're legitimately better, great, fantastic. Give them a pat on the back, shake their hand, congratulate them. You know, they deserve it. That's perfectly fine. You know, you can't obviously, throw your toys out of the cot and have a sulk, because if they've got a better physique, they've got a better physique. There's not much more you could have done.
Yeah.
So as long as you, I always say, as long as you have left every stone unturned and you don't look back on your prep with regrets, having maybe gone over your macros or cheated here, or not trained as hard as you should have, or things like that, you should be proud of the accomplishment that you've done.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
made. Yeah, fantastic. What else are we going to talk about?
Paul. So you returned to stage last year. So how long did you have off?
Yes. So what are we? So 22. Yeah. So season B 22, I competed. So I was out for 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yeah. So 2019.
Yeah.
Was when I competed last. So I think I did season A. You did season B.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
There's a pattern here, isn't there?
There is. I know.
What do you do next?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. And then so I had every intention of coming back. It was just a matter of timing, I think, for me, because my business had gotten so busy. I wanted to make sure that things were lined up enough, because I know how fatigued I get, and obviously you can assimilate in relation to a prep, particularly the back end, and I didn't want to be dragging my feet or my poor energy impacting my business or my work with my clients. So I approached Brandon Kempter in 21, early 21 for that matter, and asked to obviously do an off-season first, and with the intention of doing season B 22.
Yeah.
So we spent 12 months in a surplus. I got big and heavy and ate a lot of food. Like, I was getting to a point actually where it was becoming a chore to eat food.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, it was really, really challenging, and it sounds stupid because when you get to prep, you're so hungry, all you want to do is eat everything in sight. But it was a real challenge.
Did you find at any point that impacted your performance?
No, I reckon I was the strongest I've ever been.
Yeah.
I was a machine in the gym, and I mean that without it sounding egotistical. I had so much energy.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous, yeah. So that was really good. But you had to kind of get strategic with the food too. You couldn't just eat your typical foods. Like, I had to start drinking calories to ensure that I got them in.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
Again, it sounds dumb, but this is the life of a bodybuilder, particularly in off-season. That's obviously where the growth comes from, is the off-season. So we had a very successful off-season. We commenced prep in February of 22. It was 29 weeks in total, and a 6-week season. And it was really good. Like, I went to him. Obviously, I'd been under Leon for several years, who still coaches you, but I just wanted to learn a different approach. Yeah. And he's obviously really well respected in the industry, a very analytical thinker. I shook my head sometimes when he'd send me his check-in responses because of just the wording and the way he speaks.
Super smart, isn't it?
Oh, it's incredible. I'd have to stop, pause, replay, and listen to it again just so I could understand what he was saying. It was really good though. I learned a lot. It made me a better coach as well as an athlete. Yeah. We prepped through. Did Townsville. They had the Australian titles in Brisbane, so I did that. I did the NBA Pro Show, so I got to make my pro debut, and then I went over to New Zealand and did the WNBF over there for the first time. So that was really cool. So it was good. Ticked all the boxes. My goal for the season was to compete as a pro and to travel. And the bonus I got out of that was I won an overall in Townsville as well.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. So that ticked every box. So I was really, really happy and proud and stoked at the results. And I guess the rest is history. And I've decided to hang up the boots, as they say. Everyone's continually says I'm going to come back, and
Oh, so you have retired then?
yeah.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, see, you say too. Everyone says that. Everyone, no,
I said
you're
the
not. No,
same
you're
thing.
not.
I said the same thing.
No, you're not. And look, maybe in 12 months' time I may
Yeah.
change my mind, but at the moment, no, I'm pretty content and settled and happy with how things are. So
Because prep's raw still.
yeah. You know what? That's probably what it is. Like it was only, what are we now? June. So yeah, it was like 8-9 months ago. So
Yeah.
it wasn't that long ago.
No.
So yeah. And like by the time I got to New Zealand, I was cooked.
Yeah.
I was so done. Yeah. So
You got sick as well towards the end, didn't you?
yeah, I did actually. Yeah, I caught the flu, I think, towards
Yeah.
the end. But that I think it kicked in like literally after I'd finished,
Yeah.
which was good. But you know, as you know, when you're so lean, you are very susceptible to colds and flus
Yeah,
and
definitely.
illnesses because you just got no body fat. Your immune system is suppressed. You're not eating enough calories. Your energy sucks. Your sleep's starting to suffer. So yeah, the chances of you getting sick are pretty high. So you've really got to look after yourself. So
Yeah.
flying in New Zealand when it was cold didn't probably help at all. But it was a good experience nonetheless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have many clients competing in season B?
I do actually. I can't see my board; it's up there. But I think I've got, from memory, around maybe 12 or 14.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think. I've got a couple for the Transformation Show in Brisbane, and the rest are all competing in various shows throughout the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, the word is season B is going to be big this year.
Every report I've heard, all the coaches I've spoken to, all have massive teams, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a pretty big season.
Yeah. And do you think it is because Tropics is going to be the last show?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a factor. I think people are making the effort to compete in that show for the final time. But I also think it's just an overflow effect. I think season A has taken a bit of a hit because it may have been 2 or 3 years ago they brought it forward a month.
Which means Christmas prep.
Which
isn't
means
it?
people have to prep through Christmas,
Yeah.
which not everyone wants to do. Before that, you could get away with starting
Yeah.
in the first week of January. So that I think that's played a big impact on people deciding season A. So season A has gotten really quiet, so people have gone over to season B. But I did hear, and I hope I'm okay to say this, but I believe ICN in particular are pushing their season out a month again.
Yes.
For that particular
Yeah.
reason.
No, it's understandable though, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because even what is stage kind of like criteria now in terms of conditioning? It's harder than it ever has been.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean? So you need longer.
you do need
You need
longer.
longer in prep.
Yep.
So yeah, it's always going to be
100%.
I mean, even if they move it out, it could still potentially be going into like
Well, you
December.
might, you might still need, like if you're an 80 kilo bodybuilder,
Yes.
you're probably carrying 15 to 20
Yeah.
kilos anyway, so you're going to need 30 plus weeks, which
Yeah.
will put you into December.
Yeah.
So that's exactly right. I guess it depends on the division and where you sit in your off season, but it's definitely a further advanced sport now in terms of just knowledge. Like I've been doing this now close to 10 years, and the advancements in terms of the knowledge and the coaching and the athletes on stage is just unbelievable. You think you're bringing in someone who's going to be highly competitive, and then just these other unbelievable athletes roll in, and it's like, oh, far out, where'd they come from?
Yeah,
You know?
it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
don't see it coming. So you've really got to bring your A game every time you prep a client to ensure that you're in the mix at least. If you're off by 5%, well, yeah, chances are you're going to miss out. But you learn from that too,
Yeah.
I don't know where the ceiling lies in terms of overall conditioning and the evolution of this sport. Like we were even talking, who we were talking to, it might have been Monty, about even just the evolution of the bikini athlete.
Yeah.
You go back 5-10 years and it was basically, a girl who's come from the beach with a decent body, right?
Yeah.
Decent physique. Now it's completely different. They clearly look like they're training. They've got great glute, hamstring tie-ins. There's a shadow of a six-pack. They've got cap shoulders coming in. Like it's ridiculous. So yeah, where it is in 10 years' time, I've got no idea.
I just hope female bodybuilding within natural sports will become more popular.
Yes, absolutely.
Because there is a lot of like ladies now who could, really fit well into what is a criteria for that.
Yeah, that's right. And they're embracing that too, the federations with like the introduction of wellness and things like that. So you've got the opportunity, if your physique is due to genetics, it's a certain type, you can generally pigeonhole yourself into one of those divisions and do reasonably well, which is important. You know, you don't want to clearly be a sports model, but try and be a bikini model. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a big difference. So
I just wish wellness was kind of further up in terms of like the muscularity.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
Yes, but do you know what I mean? Like if it was in between fitness and figure.
Yeah, I know.
Do you mean, imagine? Oh, it would be
I know.
amazing. Like so we could train upper body still
Yeah.
see some upper body muscularity, but
Yeah.
obviously it's still going to be the balance from from lower body.
Yes.
But yeah.
I know. It's
If anyone's listening.
yeah, if anyone's listening, I know. It's I think although IFBB seem to have it down pat, but
Yes.
With the natural feds, I think it's still very new, so they're still finding their criteria in terms of, because like even at the nationals, I think they had 6 girls in the open class, and they were all so different.
Yeah.
They were ridiculously different.
Yeah.
So they had to figure out, okay, which one's the best. So
Yeah.
it does make it hard, but over time, I think it'll settle down and they'll have a clearer picture of what they're looking for. Yeah.
Because even where you have some like swimsuit, and then you have swimsuit, is it called fit body in some of the other, like figure, classic,
Classic,
sorry.
yeah.
Where it is a more muscularity, but obviously the femininity of the swimsuit as well.
That's right.
But they could, possibly make a new category of wellness.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Like there's still opportunity there, that's for sure, for further, evolution of different divisions or growth. Because as we've seen, the popularity's not dying off by any means.
No.
So yeah, it's definitely growing. So I think those sort of divisions will continue to be filled for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's next? What else do we chat about? Open mic. This is
open mic. Do you have any tips that you could give to like first-time competitors or even anyone who is probably not hitting the mark in terms of like weight loss each week? Like for me, there is like things that I've learned that people probably don't think are necessary.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the nitty-gritty of prep, obviously you realise that everything matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when it comes to prep, you're right. Everything does matter. Accuracy is incredibly important.
Yeah.
You can't just sort of wing it or hope for the best or, that 5 grams won't matter. Like, you can't have that attitude.
No.
You've got to hit your numbers bang on every single day because it is a numbers game at the end of the day. So yeah, that's really important. I think nutritional literacy is obviously very important too, like understanding food. A lot of the time people can get caught out with, like hidden calories in, protein bars, for example, or the alcohol sugars and things like that. They think they're having a snack. And this applies to general population as well. But, what says is 5 grams of carbohydrates, it's actually probably more like 20 grams, and you completely get caught off guard with things like that. So education around food is obviously very important too. But I think the biggest thing I've learned over the years, particularly someone entering a prep, is you need to do the work in the off season.
Yeah.
Not only from a growth perspective, but consistency with your nutrition too. If you start day one of prep and you have had just this all over the shop off season, particularly maybe 4 weeks leading into the start of prep, the results that you want or expect in the first couple of weeks are probably not going to happen. First timers tend to get away with it, but for a seasoned athlete, I've learned very, very quickly that you need to have that almost like that pre-prep period leading into the prep, so that week 1 straight away you've got the result.
Yeah.
Your body starts to comply, and you get those quick results moving forward, because you don't want to lose a week.
No.
You don't want to lose a week due to your poor attitude or poor discipline in the off season.
Yeah.
That can really be detrimental, and then all of a sudden you're chasing time when you don't have time. And the last thing you want to be doing is sitting on bugger all calories at the back end of your prep, doing mountains of cardio or whatever's required to try and pull that back in. You know what I mean? What about you, tips-wise?
But it's even like when you talk about off-season, because even though like I was doing other sports and stuff, like I track my food every single day since the last time of prep.
What was your record on MyFitnessPal in terms
Well,
of...
actually, no, I did try it for 2 days off.
Oh,
So
did you?
I was up to like 1,400 days streak. And then I was like, I'll have a go of not tracking. I just can't do it, honestly. I'm just like...
Because it's become routine for
But
you.
what's the point, though? It's like, why would I want to guess?
Yeah.
Like, if we talked about performance, whatever,
Yeah.
I need to know my body's getting what it needs.
Absolutely.
And it's not about dieting, it's not about anything else. It's actually, my body needs fuel, it needs to repair, it needs all these kind of things that nutrition is going to help with.
100%, yeah.
So yeah, because anyone who's holidayed with me or done events with me, they see I can pull my cottage cheese out, and like, even in an off season, like everything's calculated.
Yeah, that's all right. Have you ever Googled what the record is for the most amount of...
Maybe it was like a world record holder.
Oh, it could be. I'm going to do it now, but let's check it. Keep talking. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But yeah, it's just the kind of like habits that you create in your off season.
Yeah,
it just carries over into like your prep then, doesn't it?
Well, that and I think that's really important. You know, that you've created those habits too, because like you said, like you touched on earlier, you're eating the same thing over and over again. You just got this routine, so
there's no room for error.
Yeah, exactly, and there's less stress too. There's nothing worse than you're hungry and you're trying to figure out what to make to fit into your calories. You get anxious, you get frustrated, you get short with people. But if you've got it all planned ahead and prepped and it's the same thing, it just takes everything away, you know. And as we know, stress is one of the biggest killers for any sort of weight loss journey. So, yeah, you want to make sure that is all in order.
Yeah, definitely. But even like things in my off season are not as strict as such. Like I would bulk cook chicken, for instance. Do you know what I mean? And I'd just weigh it out as cooked.
Yep.
I didn't add it, like, it does not matter to me at that point. But now, like, everything is cut out to the gram, raw weight, on separate little things cooking it. Do you know what I mean? Everything is, like, very, very accurate now. But in my off season, I'm accurate, but not as, do you know what I mean? Like, there is some level of
latitude,
which is fine, which for me is how I want to live when I'm not prepping.
Absolutely,
but everything else is calculated, but obviously it's not to the gram as it is now, but it makes a big difference now.
Yes, well that's it, you know, if you want sustained success in a prep, you've got to be to that level. And look, that should apply if you're doing a dieting phase of some description too, you know. So the prep aside, if you're just someone who wants to lose some weight or improve your physique or whatever, you know, you're not going to get anywhere near the results if you're sort of an 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? That's 80%, so there's a 20% discrepancy there. You really want to dial it in and be a 10 out of 10 every week for whatever the period of time is. So yeah, that's really important. You know, you put in 100%, you get 100% back. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I think it's good for any competitor, like first time especially, like be honest with your coach.
Yes.
But do you know what I mean? Like if you have a bad day, you've eaten something you shouldn't do, or even like you're not doing everything as accurate as you should be. Tell your coach, because they'll be scratching their head, or they could potentially drop your calories, give you more cardio when they don't need to.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And all these extra things, obviously, if you can't stick to your calories higher, you're not going to have a chance of doing it when they're dropped either. So 100%. You need to start troubleshooting, and then. Yeah, it's just that honesty, isn't it?
It is, yeah. That trust and honesty, and it's obviously a two-way street in terms of the relationship you have with your coach. So it's important to obviously establish that early. But yeah, you're right. You know, I've had that in the past, and I won't name names, but you know, clients have been completely honest, and you scratch your head thinking, why are they not dropping? What's going on? I can't figure this out based on the data you've got in front of you. But you have to take them at their word, at their value. But then you find out later that this happened. So it can obviously disrupt your prep quite considerably. And then they're on stage, but they're not looking as good as you would assume they would. So then it reflects back on you as in terms of your reputation as well. So yeah, it is very much a two-way street.
Yeah, I think even if like you're unsure about something, like ask as well.
Yeah,
it's quite funny. Like years ago, there was one of my teammates. She wasn't dropping weight, and she started telling me like how much she was eating, like what she was eating per day as such. And I was like, "You're on the same protein as me. You're having 300 grams of chicken at dinner." It's like, how does that work out? And I was like, "Show me my fitness pal," but she'd inaccurately inputted 300 grams of raw chicken as 100 grams, like it would be the same value as such.
Oh, right.
So obviously it's just me overseeing that, going, "Oh, that doesn't sound right." Like, what are you having? Because like, if I was having 300 grams of chicken at night time, plus I'm having shabani here, whatever you're having, the rest of the day,
lot of protein. So that's right.
For her, she didn't realise she was doing the wrong thing.
Okay.
But obviously, it's just inaccuracy of people putting like wrong inputs in.
That's it.
So sometimes people think they're doing the right thing, and it's not their fault as such.
No, that's it, and that's I guess that goes back to that original point about nutritional literacy and knowledge. You know, really learn how to track your food properly. Spend some time doing it, because you know, the accuracy that you want to adhere to is the be all and end all when it comes to prep, isn't it? Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of stories out there like that where people have just missed the mark, or completely innocently overlooked something, or forgot to enter something, or that can happen. It's human error at the end of the day. But I guess with the knowledge and obviously repetition and just that routine and structure, you'll avoid making those sort of mistakes.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So, is this going to be your only season? Or are you going to wait until you're out and then maybe go, you know what, I really enjoyed that, I'm going to go back, or I'm done?
I'll never say never now, actually,
Yeah.
Yeah, but same thing again. Like I swore I'd never do it again.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I remember talking to you about. I think we were back in the back of Nutrition Warehouse before that contest prep seminar we did, and you said, "No, I'm done." Yeah. Yeah. So, and you were pretty adamant then too.
Oh yeah, I was really adamant. Yeah. And it's just funny, like just something that day I went, whoa. Like I want to do this again.
That's
cool. It's funny how just that little excitement again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think you really have to have some level of excitement to do this.
You do.
Because obviously it gets hard, and if something is not driving you like that, you're never going to succeed to the end, are you?
100%. Yeah, that's a really good point. You do. You have to have a motivator, but it's got to be personal.
Yeah.
It can't be, so that people can watch me or whatever. Like, it has to be important to you to get you across that finish line. Because you're right, it does get hard. No matter how good the prep is, how seamless it's running, there's going to be days where you just feel like dog shit and you want to pack it in. We've all crossed that line and thought that, but you don't, obviously. But the motivation or the reason why you're doing it will get you across the line in the end, won't it?
Yeah, there's one particular day last prep, and it was Father's Day, and we hired a boat on Marucci River, and like there's Phil and the girls, and I had to lie down on this boat because I had nothing.
Yeah,
I was like, Phil, I've got to lie down. I'm just like floating around Marucci River.
It's so bad,
but
isn't it?
It's funny though, then about 2 hours later, I snapped out of it.
Yeah.
Went to do a leg session.
Oh,
yeah, it's just funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think you just got to go with it, haven't you? Just ride it out, and then one day we'll feel shit, one day we'll feel amazing.
Yeah. Just those bouts of zero energy are really strange. Hey, like I remember sitting on the couch, and the remote was on the floor, and I couldn't be, excuse my language, I couldn't be fucked getting off the couch to pick up the remote. So I got my daughter to go and get it for me.
Sorry.
Yeah. Mia, can you pick that up for me, please? And she but I had nothing. Yeah. Like getting in and out of a chair was hard at some stages.
I can relate to that, because I remember that day, I just sat there, had nothing.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? And it just goes to show, makes you appreciate what food does to you too.
Yeah, it does.
Like you realise how important good food is in terms of energy supply.
Yeah.
Because even, often people don't realise that you need energy to sleep as well.
Yeah.
And when you get towards the back end of prep, I don't know if you can relate, but my sleep was terrible. It was broken. I was trying to have melatonin to try and help, but I'd be waking up at 3 a.m. and just looking at the ceiling going, okay, can we start the day yet? Like I couldn't get solid sleep in. And it was purely for the fact that my calories were to a low point that I just didn't have any reserves to get me into sleep. And it just makes you appreciate how important good nutrition is in terms of all those factors. Yeah. Oh, the old stories. See, this is why I don't want to prep again. It's still too fresh, Kerry. It's still too fresh.
That's what it is, and that's why I think that's why I felt like that.
Yeah.
Like in last conversations and things, because it was raw and it was fresh.
Yeah.
And then when you get out of it, and also, I don't know, something. I think then doing what I had done, like ultra running, like CrossFit competitions and things, and they were all hard. Do you know what I mean? I think I was just ready. I was just ready to go. Because at the same time, like the ultra running, it was fun and things like that. But I started to get in sick of like having the sore feet, and I was getting like my hands were sore from CrossFit, and the gym again seemed super appealing. Like, just like being
maybe you just need to find your passion for it again by going away and coming back.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. But like I say, I was just doing my normal training anyway. But that kind of exercise and different things was just not having its appeal anymore.
Yeah, okay.
I kind of ticked them off and like came back to what I enjoy doing. And as well, like you can't be a coach and coach a certain type of training and have your head can do a muscle up, all this kind of thing, double unders. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if your focus starts going elsewhere, then it's not good for business as such, because you need to be in your game.
You've got a niche that you've built up, and you can't be all over the shop.
Like, what does she do? Is she a runner? Is she a CrossFitter?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean, you obviously learn a lot from those other disciplines.
I've learned a hell of a lot. Yes.
you obviously coach a certain way, so that's what you want to be showcasing in terms of your own training, I guess.
Yeah, and it's good, like, and even the knowledge and also experience. I look the shittest when I was doing like running and things like that. Like, I never ran to lose weight. It was always for a goal to like finish
Of course,
it.
yeah.
When I was eating a hell of a lot of food.
Yeah.
Like, I was trying to cram in like 60 grams of carb per hour.
Wow.
Which again would have been some like Tailwind, which is like electrolyte drink.
Yep.
And like some trail bar. But yeah, I was putting a lot of calories in there, but I looked like shit, to be honest. So do you know what I mean? Like, it's if people want to look a certain way, they've got to realise what actually helps you to look that way.
Absolutely.
Obviously, it's your nutrition, but also the type of training you do.
The type of training.
Less stress on the body, so that's a hell of a lot of stress on the body.
Yeah.
Doing that kind of training too.
Agreed.
So it's good, like, you go away, you realise you've gained some more knowledge and come back and you know what works.
Yep. 100%. No, that's really, really a good point. Have you made your clients aware that you're prepping? I'm assuming they all do.
Oh yeah.
No, it's interesting because obviously, you won't see it, but they may see your demeanour change as your energy declines, and the enthusiasm or however you coach sort of changes a little bit. So it's probably important that you do tell them. I found that as well. As much as you want to keep it to yourself because you don't want to advertise or put up a heightened expectation on yourself or anything like that. They need to be aware because otherwise they'll think, why is he so grumpy today?
Yeah. It's funny though, because all my clients start, like, I've got a photo shoot on the 21st of October. So there's 12 of my clients doing that.
Oh yeah.
But then the rest of my clients are jumping in a similar kind of thing. So we all do it together.
Okay.
So we're all going to be feeling some kind of grind at some point anyway.
Yep.
So it's good, and it's good for my clients now to see what weight loss is and what happens for like body transformation and such.
100%,
because you go, because a lot of them go, is that all it is?
Yeah.
Just do the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
It's like, that's it. It's not hard, as in it's not complicated.
No, it's not. And I think that was one of the motivating factors for me to do it as well, because I had such a big client base at that point last year. I wanted to showcase how simple it was. Yeah. And the other thing, which I didn't mention when we talked about my prep before, was I had to spend 3 weeks in India.
Yeah. Wow. How did that go?
That was hard.
Yeah.
It was like I'd committed to it, and I knew I was going to India, and I committed to the prep. But that was one thing that I was on the fence about before I decided to commit to the prep, was the fact that because originally we were going over twice. Go over, do one show, come back. A week later, go over and do the second show. Then Jay asked us to stay the length of time. So 3 weeks solid in India was quite challenging. Not only from just a consistency point of view, but trying to get to a gym regularly, getting steps in. But nutrition was incredibly hard.
I bet, yeah. What did you have, like a kitchen where you were staying?
No, we didn't have kitchens in the room. We had a restaurant on site, and they were really helpful. Yeah. So Jay's parents were aware of my situation. I say that in inverted commas. So they had wised up the chefs already. So I was able to get like roast chicken breast and vegetables and things like that. So I was very fortunate of where we stayed at those 2 points in time, because we were in Bangalore for 10 days and then Delhi for 10 days, and both were quite well equipped in terms of kitchens and facilities and stuff. But it was still incredibly challenging, like, because everyone else wanted to go out, we'd have dinners out and stuff like that. So I'm there looking at the menu going, fuck, what do I do here? Because what the Indians eat, they eat curries, and curries are based on, oils and peanuts and coconut milk, and then there's, all this rice and breads, and it's like, oh man, this is a prepper's nightmare. But it did work. Like I come back obviously in good condition. I didn't put on any weight. I lost weight. Check-ins were good, so I got through it. And I used the motivation of using this as a template, because a lot of, whether it be clients or people, will use the excuse of a holiday or a business trip or a weekend away to just justify themselves letting go and going to town on food and drink, right? And I thought, you know what, this is a great example of me going to a third world country, foreign, 18 hours to the subcontinent, and I can still stick to my diet. Whenever anyone says, it's too hard to be diligent with my food on the weekend, then I compare it to India. Yeah. And straight away I go, well, I did in India for 3 weeks, so you don't have an excuse. If your goal is strong enough, if you want to lose that weight, if you want to look good, if you want to get to the stage or whatever the goal is, you make it happen.
Yeah.
you make it work. So yeah, it was ridiculously challenging. I would have preferred Jay to set up a show in America or something like that, or England, for example.
Yes.
That would have been a little bit easier. But yeah, it worked. We made it happen. So yeah, it was good. But I'm glad I did it. Looking back on it, I can see how tough it was because I was hungry a lot of time. And then actually the other thing was, doing the shows. The shows are about 14-hour days.
Wow.
And throughout those days, you can't eat. You don't have time to eat.
Yeah.
So you're basically living on water and maybe the occasional Pepsi Max or something. So yeah, on low calories anyway, and then having no food and trying to be really enthusiastic for the Indian competitors was definitely a challenge, but we got it done. Yeah. So yeah, so pretty proud of that actually. That was that was a good achievement. It was tough, but we got it done. Yeah, so that was cool. So look, I guess using that as an example, you can pretty much prep for anything. Like you're probably the same. I've had clients that have been fly out workers, shift workers as nurses, paramedics, doctors, and they've still prepped.
Yes.
They've made it work based on their own lifestyle and schedule. So you're never going to have the perfect scenario.
No.
You're never going to have the perfect timing, but as long as you're committed and you can sort of plan in advance and be organised and manage your food and all those sorts of things, you can make it happen.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of troubleshooting as well.
It is, yeah.
So we went away in May for my birthday up to Hamilton Island.
Oh, that's right.
And again, you just got to plan ahead, haven't you? Like, luckily there's an IGA on the island there, so you can buy a lot of things and cook yourself. So it's fine. Like I took my scales and like I lost weight when I was there as well. And you can still do it. Like it was active. There was a gym there.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just good to then help clients also before they go, like, this is how you can troubleshoot, this is what you can do, it can be done.
Yes.
It's just that pre-thinking ahead and not just going, I can't do it.
Yeah.
No, it's like, no, actually you can.
Yeah.
But it's actually how though, isn't it? Because some people don't have the knowledge or even that thought process. They're going, okay, this is how I can possibly go to a restaurant and order 100-gram steak off.
Yeah.
Doing the weight for me, all these kind of things. If I have to eat out, all these kind of things.
Yeah, 100%. That's right. Yeah, it's that resistance or that limited belief that you can't do it when in fact you can. You've just got to change the way you think. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you mentioned scales. My scales were confiscated when I was So we travelled from Bangalore to Delhi, and I stupidly, and I've done a podcast on this, I stupidly put a storage, what do you call them? A storage bank, the USB power banks, a portable charger in my check-in luggage. Yeah. And you're meant to have them as carry-on only. Right, okay. So I had it in my check-in, bag got flagged, it never made it to Delhi. So we're at the airport, I'm freaking hungry, and my bag didn't come through. So I'm looking around going, oh fuck, this is great. And the bag didn't come through. So fortunately, Jay's parents with their Nain and Dipti were awesome. They spoke to the airline. Turns out the bag didn't leave Bangalore. It was still there. Yeah, okay. So they confiscated because of that fact. Took me 3 days to get it back. And in that bag was also my body weight scales. Yeah. And they'd taken that out and gone too. So for the last, I think, week of our time in India, I was walking downstairs to the reception, going into the porter's room and weighing myself on a bag scale because I had no other scales because it'd been confiscated. So yeah, that was a funny story. Oh dear.
You're not having the best luck going to India, are you?
Oh, I know. The one most recently, I was awfully sick. Before that, my bag got confiscated for 3 days. I was literally training in like a collared shirt and jeans because I had no other clothes. I had nothing else on me.
Didn't you forget your passport as well?
I did. Oh, yes. Oh, thanks for reminding me. Yes, I forgot my passport. Oh, that was awful. Oh, your heart sunk. Yeah. Like we literally were in Brisbane Airport, and I got my bags out of my car, and I turned them on and said, "I forgot my passport." And she looked at me, and it was just this death stare. Yeah. And unfortunately, because I like to get to the airport early, we both do. That Bruce Highway sucks. We had enough time to drive all the way back to Sunshine Coast, get my passport, drive all the way back to Brisbane and make it with, I think we had 20 minutes to spare. Okay. Yeah. So that was a good way to start a 15-hour flight. Fortunately, I wasn't prepping then, so could you imagine? Oh my God.
It was funny, when I did that, my first ultra marathon, I was like literally out the car, backpack on, I was gone.
Yeah, right.
Because I was late for the actual start. Well, I was nearly late for the start of the time.
Oh, are you kidding?
Like it's just, I'm notorious for being late anyway.
Right.
Someone like my friend Lisa, who was doing the 50k, which started after me.
Yeah.
She's like, why are you straightening your hair? I'm like, yeah, I've got loads of time. Straightening my hair before you do ultramarathon. Like, you're doing like,
Yeah.
what's important.
Of course.
And then we had to drive from, like, it was in Port Macquarie, then up to, like, in the middle of this Cairncross Forest. We got lost as well. So I'm on the phone to the race organiser going, I'm coming. And literally got out the car, they stuck my backpack on me, I was gone.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm running, like, my heart rate was going,
Oh, your heart rate would have been through the roof.
Like, running down, like, going, what the hell am I doing? Because literally the gun went and I was like, shit, I'm going.
Yeah.
That's it then, you just run into the middle of the forest and
Oh,
I've got
that's
a clue what
hectic.
I was doing. Like, I
Oh,
don't
dear.
have a physique for a runner as such, do you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah,
a runner.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like, what the hell am I doing? And I think it took 30 minutes for my heart rate to come down
Oh,
because
it
I
would've.
was nervous and I was like,
Yeah, you've missed the start.
yeah.
Oh dear, there's nothing worse than that. Like your heart rate, like it's like when you sleep through your alarm or something, then you look at the clock and go, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!" And your heart, you just get this massive kick of adrenaline, and it's almost uncomfortable. Like, yeah.
It tells a good story though, doesn't it?
It does. It becomes a good story. Absolutely. Yeah.
And this is why I keep doing things, and it's more like I like to have experiences. That's what it is. Like keep doing more things, trying different things. and
Agreed. Yes.
That's what it is. That's what life's about. Isn't
It
it?
is,
Keep
it
trying
is.
new things, or even the same thing, but going back again and can I improve and different things.
Well,
like that.
you know what? That's a really good point about the sport of bodybuilding. Is that there's no ceiling.
No.
There's always an opportunity to improve, whether it be obviously symmetrically, muscle development, conditioning, posing.
Yeah.
You can always find a way to improve further. And then when you get to a point like you did, you can always change divisions
Yeah.
as well if you decide to step up or come down.
Yeah.
So it's limitless.
Yeah.
So it can be a sport for life if someone really wants to pursue it.
Yeah. Because what would you go back and do again? Would you stay in the same divisions again?
Yeah, it's a good question. If I did go back, I'd probably dabble more into men's fitness now. I have been surpassed in terms of muscularity for men's physique. The boys are just getting so big. I'd probably do men's physique maybe in the Masters.
Yeah.
I think I'm still competitive at that age bracket, but in Opens, I'm struggling to make top 5 these days. I mean, I did really well in the season just gone, but I won an overall as men's fitness, which I never thought I'd compete in, to be honest. So it's just the youth these days, because of the what am I trying to say? The population in general are now more health and fitness conscious.
Yeah.
So, kids in high school at 16, 17, 18, they're all going to the gym already. So by 18, 19, 20, males in particular already got this muscle mass physique that is just ridiculous. And I'm trying to, I'm lucky to put on half a kilo a year. So yeah, sometimes it's just, you've got to sort of pick and choose your lanes, haven't you?
Yeah. It's funny though, like, but when you talk about age, I always think figure especially. Those ladies in the 40s, honestly, the dense...
It's impressive,
yeah, it is impressive, yeah.
It's really impressive. I think, and that's a really good point, like you can see the difference between a figure athlete in their 20s compared to their 40s.
Yes.
And obviously the 40s have, 20 plus years on them, but generally the 40-year-old women, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful here, they've gotten to the back end of their mothering life, or maybe they're only working part-time, things like that, and again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, so they've got the time to spend in the gym. The kids are grown up, so they don't have to worry about that sort of aspect. So they're much like yourself, you're spending a lot of time training, and so like you said, the density, the maturity, the quality of muscle that they carry is just, if anyone wants to see what a strong woman looks like, they turn up to like a state or a national title and watch the Masters figures.
Yeah. It's a beautiful division to watch, and even like the 50s categories now, honestly.
I know.
I love it.
Yeah, it's
like
impressive.
I still love figure, don't get me wrong, but it's just obviously I want to try something different.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. You've kind of ticked every box, haven't you? You've won an Australian title, you won a pro card.
Yeah.
I suppose that kind of limits you in some ways in terms of where you can and can't compete in future anyway. So, testing yourself in a different category is a new challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I suppose in a way that's why, I don't know, even though it's great to do a pro show, but you're just limited if you can prep all that time to be on stage for 10 minutes.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's just like you don't have, like, you just get on stage once for that show, and that's it. Whereas if you go amateur, you can do like 8 categories in ITN, can't you, that day and stuff, and like other federations too. So you do have like more bang for your buck and
the experience.
time on
The
stage,
experience. And it is important to have that experience. You don't want to be up on stage for 5 minutes because, particularly as a first timer, it's such a blur.
Yeah.
Like it's done and dusted in, however long they decide to judge for. But you get off stage and you're like, shit, what happened? Whereas, if you can, I always say, like, I only try and do 2 or 3. I don't do any more than that because it can really cook you too, particularly with the aggressive posing that we do in the muscularity sort of divisions. But you want to have a really good a really good experience through a couple of divisions. You find your feet, you get a bit more stage time. You just want to have that wonderful experience. So you walk away and you go, you know what, I'm going to do that again in 12 months' time or whatever. So. You're right. It is important, and you're right. Yeah, you are limited when It's really interesting. The pro card thing. It seems to be the top of the tree in terms of many people's aspirations in this sport. But the thing I've seen is that they get their pro card and then you never see them or hear from them again. Everyone disappears. I don't personally get that. I was really pumped to compete as a pro. Just for that sheer fact of, yes, you've won the card, but you're technically not a professional, in my opinion, until you've actually competed as one. Yeah. Does that make sense? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But so many people over the years have aspired to win their pro card and then they've never competed as a professional. I don't know if it's due to lack of numbers or they're not prepared to, or I don't know. I don't get it, but it's probably going to be something like that ongoing for a while, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's why I probably felt like I'd done what I did, because we got the opportunity of doing that pro show that night as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
Which was available to me. Maybe that's why I did stop in the first place. But no, I'm done now.
And that's it. You want that pro show experience, I believe. If you've earned the right to be a professional, hold that card. And I think most federations allow you to hold the card for 2 years, and I think you've got to compete within that 2-year period to maintain the pro status, or some federations do anyway. But you're right. Like I was pumped to do the pro show. Like that was top of the tree in terms of my goals for the 2022 season for sure.
But it's good though to know that you're on stage with like athletes who have had the quality and you're going to be in a good lineup. And that's the thing 100%. About competing. I think people lose the fact that it is a competition. Yeah. But you want to be against people who are good because you want to compete. Yeah. You don't want to get up and go, here, there's a medal. Yeah. No, you actually want to fight for your place on stage, don't you? And make your prep worthwhile.
Yep. Yeah, Monty, my wife, did a really good Insta story the other day about that. She spoke about when she competed last in Brisbane. I think she got 4th. Yeah. But it was back in the day when they had 3 lines of girls, so there was like 28 competitors on stage. They obviously don't do that anymore. And she got 4th, and that's probably her most, even though she'd won several divisions prior, that was her most proudest moment because of the fact that she had to earn that 4th against 27 other girls. Yeah. So you've got to fight for everything. Yeah. Absolutely. It's a good perspective to have. Yeah. Be proud of what you've accomplished, whether you win, lose or draw. If you get a first call out, for example, which they often do. Yeah. That could be a great accomplishment on its own. Yeah. We're about to crack 1 hour, Kerry.
I don't know, wow. Too much caffeine.
Yeah, I know. I'm on so much still, been up so early. It's but that's all right. Like, it's good to have a chat. Yes. So I guess run down which shows you're doing this season. So if anyone wants to sort of go and have a bo peep, obviously you're doing Townsville.
I'm doing Townsville, and then I'm going to do the Brisbane show 2 weeks after the ICN as well.
So ICN Brisbane, yep.
And I did plan on doing like NBA pro show as well.
Oh yeah, cool.
But I'm not. Yeah, my parents are here.
Okay.
They'll leave on the day of the pro show.
Oh bugger.
So I don't know.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
So will you do the NBA pro show as a figure athlete?
I'm not sure yet. That's where I could potentially So that is a potential yes.
But if you compete as a fitness athlete, you'll be an amateur. Is that right?
I don't know if I can go in as a pro, as a fitness.
I didn't think so. No, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So whether if I still, I don't know. I've got to get logistics of when my parents leave. Okay. Whether I then go in amateur and NBA in Brisbane to do a qualifier then for, I'm not sure, I'll have to speak to Stuart actually, how that would work. Okay. Or then do I manage to go and give it a crack as a figure athlete? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, you still got the heels somewhere.
Yeah, I'm keen, yeah.
There you go, you never know. You can always just roll in
but
one
definitely, because all my clients were saying about to come and watch me. Yeah. So I said I'll do the Brisbane show. Okay. And plus, I love Jason. Like, he
Yeah.
puts on a great show,
He
and
does
he puts
put
a
on a
lot of
great
effort into like posing and things like that, and coming up to the coast for us all. So
Yeah,
it's just good to
he's
go
a top
and
MC too.
yes,
Yeah,
but it's good to actually go and do his shows for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for the sheer experience value, I think. That's why I did the Nationals, because I knew they were at. He was obviously running them in Brisbane, so yeah, I wanted to. I didn't do the state. I skipped the state and went straight to Nationals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just did it for the sheer fact that he was running it, and I knew how well oiled it would be.
Yeah.
I remember I was on stage and he was giving me stick. Because I always give him curry about his wow. You know how he does that often. So he's purposely doing that multiple times while I was on stage. It was pretty funny. So yeah, no, all good.
Have you tried one of Jason's fascia release massages?
No, I haven't. He keeps asking me to come, but no, I haven't. No,
It's
I've heard.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. Oh dear, I don't know. I've got to get him on the podcast again to run down.
Well, yeah,
next
before
season.
that podcast, then get him to use his magic hands on.
Oh
you.
really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to have him touch me, but we'll see. With all due respect, Jason, because I know you listen to me.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
Cool. All right, well, let's wrap it up, Kerry. We're about to clock over 1 hour. So thank you very much for your time. This is a good little chat. I hope there's people have obviously got a little bit out of it. You know, we've spoken about all sorts of things.
Yes.
If anyone wants to follow along, what's your Instagram, Facebook?
It is Coach Kerry Pro.
Coach Kerry Pro on Instagram. And people can contact you through that as well?
Yes,
if
they
they need
can,
to?
yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Excellent. All right, fantastic. All right, well, best of luck with the remainder of your prep.
Thank you.
I'll be watching closely. I'll obviously see you at Easy Fit from time to time as well. But yeah, it's been a good chat. Yeah. All right. Thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that was a great chat, and I have to thank Kerry for her time. She actually volunteered to come down to my studio, which is about a 20-minute drive from where she is, to undertake the podcast, have a chat, and give up some of her time in her very busy schedule. So really appreciate it, and I hope that anyone that does listen to this gets some value out of it, and obviously a female perspective too, which is always important. So once again, if you have enjoyed this podcast, please screenshot and share it. Tag myself at Paul's Body Engineering. Tag Kerry as well at Coach Kerry Pro. And of course, if you're interested in any of my coaching services, including my new training app, please jump on paulsbodyengineering.com. But other than that, as I've said to every client every single day, have a great day.